On the verge of bankruptcy, the richest man declared that should one marry his son, they would receive a colossal investment. In a previous life, my younger sister actively chose wealth and glory, yet was instead maltreated by an extremely brutish young master of a wealthy family, living a life worse than death. While I was courted by a popular young actor in the entertainment industry, and after marriage, became a 3-time Best Actress, enjoying unparalleled splendor. I was hailed as the most fortunate sister-in-law in the entertainment industry. Consumed by jealousy, my younger sister pushed me off a tall building. Opening my eyes again, my younger sister couldn't wait to push me towards the richest man, saying, "Sister, being the richest man's daughter-in-law, this extraordinary fortune is surely yours." Then she rushed to get close to the young actor to become his sister-in-law. I sneered, thinking there are actually people eager to be playthings and contract diseases. That young actor is even more perverse than the brutish young master. Goodness, such a once-in-a blue moon good thing has actually befallen our family. Sister, marrying into the richest man's family means rising from rags to riches. This extraordinary fortune is surely yours. Not only can you assist the family company, but you can also find an ideal husband. What a two birds with one stone deal. My younger sister was so excited that she was dancing and talking non-stop, with malice and mockery flashing in her cunning eyes. With just one look, I knew she had also been reborn. In the previous life, she chose to protect her son, and was abused until disabled. Now she wants me to experience the same. How laughable. Does she really think choosing that young actor means having the seemingly glorious and adored life on the surface? If it weren't for her threatening my family's lives, I would have long exposed his scandal and nailed him to the pillory, ensuring he could never make a comeback. Sister, what are you still hesitating for? Hurry up and agree. My younger sister became a bit anxious seeing that I didn't respond for a long time. Beware that once this opportunity passes, it won't come again. I sneered. If it's so great, why don't you marry into it? My younger sister had already prepared an excuse. When Mom passed away, she specifically told me that you had sacrificed so much for this family. I should be more sensible in the future, and give all the good things to you. A glimmer of coldness flashed in my eyes. How dare she mention Mom? If it weren't for her making a scene about jumping into the river for a small-time hoodlum, Mom wouldn't have had a car accident and died. On the day of Mom's funeral, she was still fooling around with that small-time hoodlum behind the mourning hall. If it weren't for Mom's dying wish for me to take good care of her, and the subsequent crisis in the family company, I would have long given her a good thrashing. Since this troublemaker is eager to court death, I'll grant her wish. All right, Uncle. I agree. As long as you're willing to help my family's company tide over the difficulties, I'm willing to marry into your Song family. Upon hearing this, the richest man's eyes lit up. In his previous life, he had actually taken a fancy to me, thinking I was magnanimous and sensible enough to handle his son. He excitedly said good 3 times in a row. Suddenly, he vaguely remembered a small piece of news he had heard in the entertainment industry in his previous life. The son of a wealthy man was swapped by his enemy with a child with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome to ruin the wealthy family. And it actually succeeded in the end. And indeed, the richest man's family went bankrupt and closed down eventually. The richest man's son didn't resemble him at all. The richest man was gentle, refined, and very kind-hearted. He wasn't very tall and had a somewhat simple-looking appearance. His deceased wife was a lady from an educated family, with a reputation for being extremely gentle. But his son was extremely tall, hot-tempered, and ruthless. Most likely the Pitt-Hopkins syndrome was genetically inherited from his parents. So there was no doubt that this young master had been swapped. Looking at my younger sister, who was gloating beside me, I sneered and thought, "Sister, don't regret it later." She mockingly laughed. "Of course not. Just don't you regret it." The richest man took me to his villa on the hilltop, which was nicknamed Wooey Grand Palace by the media. It was indeed extremely luxurious and ostentatious. In the previous life, my younger sister was afraid that I would snatch the young master from her, so she never invited me to play there. Every meeting was at an outdoor coffee shop. Until the richest man's family went bankrupt and the villa was auctioned off, I never saw its true appearance. I had to admit that my younger sister had lived a life of luxury before. "Jingji, I'm extremely grateful that you've agreed to marry my son Runchin." The richest man took a very humble stance and personally brewed tea for me. "A few years ago, when I saw your mother leading you to banquets, I knew at a glance that you had an excellent disposition. If only my son were half as intelligent and half as sensible as you." I held the cup in my hands and took a small sip. The tea was sweet on the palate and left a lingering fragrance, causing my eyes to narrow slightly involuntarily. This is top-grade spring tea, costing 100,000 yuan per tael. There are only a few dozen caddies produced each year, And it's a collector's item. Uncle, given your family's conditions, there must be countless outstanding women outside who want to marry into your family. Why specifically choose me? I feigned curiosity. Although I knew the truth, it was still more appropriate to have the person involved say it. The richest man let out a soft sigh. To be honest with you, my son has Pitt-Hopkins syndrome. His temperament is somewhat violent. Appropriate shock appeared in my eyes. The richest man gave a bitter smile. My parents were stunned. Seeing their shocked and despairing expressions, Chi Yunyan smiled calmly and unhurriedly. She sat beside my parents, affectionately put her arms around their shoulders, and comforted them. Mom and Dad, you have to trust your daughter. Before I told Dad not to go into business with Uncle Lu, and Mom not to continue seeing a doctor at that clinic in the East. Now, it turns out that Uncle Lu embezzled money and fled, and there was a medical malpractice at that unlicensed clinic. You see, everything I said has come true. Since I was a child, the fortune teller said I'm a lucky star. Have you forgotten? After Chi Yunyan finished speaking, my parents' expressions relaxed a lot. She further persuaded them. So, you should also trust my judgment in men. Zhao Xian has great fortune. There will be plenty of good times for us to enjoy in the future. My mother was the first to be convinced. Really? Chi Yunyan laughed. How could I lie? My father also gradually believed under Chi Yunyan's firm assurance. He even started to worry in advance. If Zhao Xian becomes successful, will he make you suffer? Chi Yunyan smiled indifferently. No. Just by looking at him, you can tell that Zhao Xian dotes on his wife. She should have remembered that in her previous life, after Zhao Xian's identity as the Q god was revealed, there were countless young and beautiful women vying for him. But he always remained indifferent. Instead, he treated me, his original wife, better and better. He would open the car door for me when getting in and out of the car, and keep serving me food during meals. He would never disobey me. Chi Yunyan's rich second-generation husband, although in huge debt, still couldn't help staring at girls with good figures on the street. In contrast, it was no wonder that Chi Yunyan was extremely jealous. At this moment, listening to Chi Yunyan's praise of Zhao Xian to my parents, I buried my head in my meal and pretended not to hear. Unexpectedly, although I didn't want to pay attention to Chi Yunyan, she still insisted on showing off in front of me. That night, Chi Yunyan pushed open the door of my room. She stared at me, who was concentrating on doing my homework, and sneered. Chi Xiaoyu, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You seem to be silent on the surface, but actually, you've been thinking about how to snatch Zhao Xian back. Am I right? Well, with my sister's narrow-mindedness, I'm even embarrassed to admit that we have the same mother. But I'm quite happy for her to misunderstand like this. Let Zhao Xian attract all her attention. Only in this way will she not compete with me for the really important things. As Chi Yunyan spoke, she walked over. She grabbed my chin and forced me to look at the mirror beside us. I advise you not to waste your efforts. Look at yourself. As long as I make a move, how could you possibly compete with me? In the mirror was the image of a dark-skinned and thin girl wearing thick and clumsy glasses, and an old-school uniform that looked like a sack. Next to her, Chi Yunyan had a fair and jade-like face, smooth black hair, and was wearing the latest little dress of the season. She was a beautiful girl, who would attract 100% of the attention on the street. Indeed, I wasn't as delicate, looking as Chi Yunyan. Plus, my parents were partial and gave all the best food and clothes to Chi Yunyan, which led to my malnutrition and sallow complexion. The gap was even more obvious. Look at yourself. Do you really think there will be boys who like you? Chi Yunyan's mocking voice continued to ring in my ears, as if she wanted to vent all the grievances she had suffered in her previous life. Zhao Xian was originally my admirer. He married you only because he couldn't get me in his previous life. This time, I won't give you another chance. As soon as I reach the legal age, I'll immediately get a marriage certificate with him. By then, when he becomes the Q god, half of all his wealth will be mine. As Chi Yunyan said these words, her eyes were shining. Yes, at the peak of the Q god's career, he had billions of assets. If she could get half of it in a divorce, it would be enough for her to live a life of luxury and date young men. I clenched the pen in my hand and lowered my head deeply. Chi Yunyan thought I was hit by her words, but actually, I lowered my head just to hide the smile on my lips. Dear sister, I really like your contempt for me. Just because of this deep-rooted contempt, I'm afraid that even if you were reborn 10,000 times, you would never think that the real Q god is me. Yes, I'm the one who with wisdom, courage, and luck, started from scratch and became a tycoon. First, I won a huge amount of money in the stock market, and then I went all in on Bitcoin at the best time, and completely achieved financial freedom. Because my small-sized ID on the investment forum was Q, which I randomly typed on the keyboard, people called me the Q god. So many people were curious about the real identity of the Q god. I knew I couldn't stay behind the scenes forever, so I pushed Zhao Xian to the front and made him my puppet, or rather my scapegoat. After all, our circle is full of ups and downs. Sudden wealth will make you the target of everyone's jealousy, and extreme poverty will breed many desperados. Over the years, Zhao Xian had been kidnapped 3 times and beaten up by enemies 4 times. When I went back to visit relatives with him, he had just been beaten, and one of his ribs was still broken. That's why when Chi Yunyan hugged him, he not only gasped in shock, but also pushed her away directly. But even though he had endured all the attacks in the front, Zhao Xian definitely didn't dare to reveal the truth. He didn't dare to offend me. As a puppet, he could at least still enjoy the prosperity. Without me, he would really be nothing. Looking at the clueless Chi Yunyan, I showed a sincere smile. Sister, I said softly. I wish you and Zhao Xian a long and happy life together. You can go ahead and tie him down. I'm going to focus on the college entrance examination, save money, and go to university in Beijing. I want to leave this home forever. I sincerely hoped that Zhao Xian would be with Qi Yunyan. However, when school was over, I was stopped by Zhao Xian. He rode his bike and blocked my way, whistling at me like a hooligan. Xiaoyu, you look pretty today. Where are you going all dressed up? I took a step back, feeling a sense of disgust. I knew Zhao Xian's true nature very well. He was a complete scoundrel. In the world of scoundrels, what they haven't slept with is always the best. In the previous life, this person was after my sister. Now it's me. Gritting my teeth, I tried to dodge to the side. I'm going to work. Get out of the way. I had been working as a cashier in a supermarket recently, trying to save some principal for myself. The boss was very kind. Seeing that my school uniform pants were too short and didn't fit well, she even brought her daughter's clothes for me to wear. The light blue cardigan and the snow-white mid-length skirt made me look much prettier than usual. Unexpectedly, I was noticed by Zhao Xian. At this moment, he came up with a smirk on his face. Work? What kind of work? Brother here also has a job for you. Do you want to do it? As he spoke, he tried to lean his body towards me, suppressing my nausea. My hand quietly reached into my school bag and grasped the scissors for self-defense. However, before I could take out the scissors, a figure rushed out from the alley. She pushed me hard to the side and stood in front of Zhao Xian to protect me. Qi Xiaoyu, what are you doing, rubbing yourself against A Xian? She shouted loudly and pointed her finger at my nose. You're seducing your own sister's fiancé. Have you no shame? Zhao Xian stood in the distance, touched his nose and cooperated. I just happened to meet Xiaoyu while riding my bike. She wouldn't let me go. When Qi Yunyan heard this, she became even more furious. Qi Xiaoyu, you still haven't given up? Don't you look in the mirror and see if you're worthy of Zhao Xian? I'm definitely going to marry Zhao Xian in this life. If you dare to seduce him again, do you believe I'll ask mom and dad to sell you to the mountains? After saying that, Qi Yunyan grabbed Zhao Xian and turned to leave. But obviously, she still wasn't at ease. When I got home in the evening, I found that my room had been ransacked. The iron box where I saved money had been found and was lying in the middle of the room. Inside were the wages I had saved from working in the supermarket during this period. At this moment, the box was empty, and the money was in Qi Yunyan's hands. Qi Yunyan looked at me triumphantly. She waved the money in one hand and pointed her finger at my nose with the other. Her long fingernails almost poked my face. This is the private money Qi Xiaoyu has hidden. She's always hanging around outside these days. In fact, she's going to sleep with the boss of the department store. I saw with my own eyes the supermarket boss giving her money and taking her to buy new clothes. Qi Yunyan pointed at the cardigan and skirt I was wearing and sneered. Now probably everyone over there knows that there's a mistress in our Qi family. Before I could say anything, my red-faced father rushed up and slapped me hard. My mother was crying and complaining beside him. At that time, the fortune teller said this girl was unlucky. I took several doses of abortifacient, but I just couldn't get rid of her. Now she's completely shamed our family. My parents were always like this. They were unconditionally partial to my sister. My sister could do anything and be forgiven. And I, when I was still a fetus, was said by the master to be a curse. Not long after I was born, my father's business went bankrupt. So everything I did was wrong. At this moment, my father confiscated all the money I had saved and picked up a belt to whip me. With a proud smile on her lips but a crying tone in her voice, Qi Yunyan stood beside us and fanned the flames. Xiaoyu, don't blame dad for hitting you hard. If he doesn't hit you hard, you won't learn your lesson. A girl should cherish herself. Don't earn that kind of dirty money anymore. In the end, I fainted from the intense pain. When I woke up, I was lying in the yard. My parents had taken Qi Yunyan shopping. Qi Yunyan was going to get engaged soon, and they were going to buy her a beautiful dress. I had lost all the money I had saved, and there was no medicine around me. Struggling to get up, I groped my way outside the yard. Next door was my cousin's yard. At this time, only my cousin's wife was outside washing clothes. When she saw me, so weak that I could barely speak, she was shocked. Xiaoyu, my goodness. What happened? My cousin's wife dropped the clothes and came to help me. As soon as she helped me, her hand was covered in blood. Wait a minute. I'll go get you some medicine. Lying on the open ground in the yard, looking at the sky, the moon was very bright, but there were always some dark corners in the world that couldn't be illuminated. My cousin's wife was applying medicine to me. How could your parents be so cruel? After all, you're their own daughter. My cousin's wife wiped away her tears. She was a kind-hearted person with a tough life. She didn't know much. She was not allowed to study after the 3rd grade of primary school, and had to go home to help with the housework and take care of her younger brother. Later, her father sold her to my cousin to raise money for her brother's betrothal gift. At this moment, she was applying medicine to my wound with a pained expression. I touched her arm, which was also covered in scars. My cousin often beat her. In my previous life, my cousin's wife passed away when I was not even 20 years old. After a long silence, I suddenly spoke. Cousin's wife, do you have any private money? My cousin's wife was stunned for a moment. Don't be afraid. I won't tell my cousin. She heaved a sigh of relief. I have 2,000 yuan. Why? Do you want to go to school? Your family won't give you money? If so, you can take it. Studying is a serious matter. Girls should study. My nose was sour, and I forced myself not to cry. In the bitterest part of fate, There are poor people trying to give each other a little sweetness. I said softly, no, cousin's wife. I don't want you to support me. I want to help you make money. I can turn your 2,000 yuan into 20,000 yuan, or even 200,000 yuan. My cousin's wife burst out laughing. Obviously, she didn't believe me. She coaxed me like a child. Okay, you can take this 2,000 yuan to go to school. When you graduate from university, you can pay me back. We're relatives. How could I charge you interest? I didn't say anything and looked at the boundless night sky. In my previous life, I became rich too late. When I returned to my hometown, my cousin's wife had already died of depression. In this life, I must help her. It's also helping myself. Sister, you're so stupid. With the opportunity of time travel, all you can think about is snatching a man, while my mind is full of stock codes. Do you know what kind of golden finger you've given me? Early on Monday morning, I took the money given to me by my cousin's wife and went to school. I planned to sneak out during the big break, when no one was paying attention, and go to the business department of the securities company to open an account. Unexpectedly, not long after I rode my bike out of the school gate, a figure suddenly rushed out from the alley in front. The person opposite swung a spiked wooden stick towards me. I hastily dodged, and my entire body tumbled off the bicycle, hitting the ground heavily. Ignoring the pain, I first covered my school bag, which contained all the private money my cousin's wife had given me. In front of me were a pair of brand new designer shoes. Looking up, a chubby face was looking down at me with a malicious smile. I recognized him. He was Qin Yong, my sister's husband in her previous life. Since middle school, Qin Yong had been a loyal admirer of Qi Yunyan. He was a rich second generation, and his father did business in the south. When the rest of us were still wearing plain school uniforms and non-brand shoes, Qin Yong was already familiar with various foreign luxury brands. Qin Yong had pursued Qi Yunyan for many years. Qi Yunyan disliked Qin Yong's appearance, but couldn't give up his wealth. Thus, throughout her teenage years, she kept him at arm's length, using him as her number one beikaye. Later, as Qi Yunyan got older and didn't meet a man with better conditions, she married Qin Yong. Little did she know that not long after they got married, Qin Yong's family went bankrupt, and Qi Yunyan, who had participated in the investment, was also implicated. The whole family became deadbeats and couldn't even take the high-speed rail. However, regardless of how down and out Qin Yong would be in the future, at this moment, he was still the arrogant young master from a prominent family, someone completely unoffendable. So, I protected my school bag and cautiously stepped back, not wanting to have a direct conflict with him. However, Qin Yong didn't let me go. He nudged my face with the tip of his shoe and sneered. You Lao told me that his sister is a dishonest little wretch. I really caught you. What are you sneaking out of school for? I whispered, buying something. Buying something? Qin Yong smiled, and then his smile suddenly disappeared. He harshly yanked the strap of my school bag and emptied its contents. Pencils and books spilled all over the ground, and an envelope fell out zijir. But Qin Yong was quick. Eyed and snatched the envelope. Wow, so much money. Qin Yong waved the banknotes in his hand. What are you buying with this? Buying wedding candies for your sister and me. He put away the envelope and coldly said, don't think I don't know. Yunyan told me everything. You're vain and jealous of her. So you're willing to be someone's mistress to earn money for pretty dresses. Surely this money was stolen or swindled. I'll go tell Yunyan right away. I was kicked by Qin Yong to the corner of the wall. Dust rose everywhere, and I was choked and coughed continuously. But my mind suddenly cleared. Qin Yong was following me. As expected, he was acting on Qi Yunyan's orders. She had been reborn with me. Although she had already snatched Zhao Xian, she still wasn't Fengxian about me. So she asked her admirer Qin Yong to keep an eye on me. This wasn't the point. The point was the words Qin Yong had inadvertently blurted out just now. Buying wedding candies for your sister and me. I suddenly laughed. Great. Qin Yongguran didn't know that my sister was already with Zhao Xian. Thinking about it, he still had some use value to Qi Yunyan. If Qi Yunyan told Qin Yong that she was going to get engaged to someone else, how could Qin Yong still work for her? Qin Yong was about to turn around and leave when he suddenly saw the smile on my lips. He couldn't help but frown. What are you laughing at? I smiled even more brightly. I'm happy for my sister. You love her so much and protect her. I'm sure I'll have a great brother-in-law in the future. I said softly. I'm really looking forward to your early marriage. These words pleased Qin Yong. His brows relaxed, but he still eyed me sideways. Saying nice things now. Trying to get me to let you off? There's no need to let me off. I haven't done anything wrong. I stood up and patted the dirt off my body. This money was given to me by my cousin's wife. When she heard about my sister's happy event, she asked me to buy some gifts for my sister on her behalf. Qin Yong's expression suddenly changed. He furrowed his brows. What happy event? I feigned confusion. I don't know either. But my parents said they plan to engage my sister before she goes to college. Well, after all, we know each other well in our hometown. We're all childhood sweethearts. It's better than her being deceived by bad men in big cities in the future. I sized up Qin Yong's expression and then smiled. Silly, you still haven't reacted yet? Qin Yong looked a bit dazed. React to what? My sister's fiancé must be you. I said with a smile. Think about it. Everyone knows you like my sister. My parents said childhood sweethearts. Among the boys around here, who else is more suitable for my sister than you? Qin Yong's face lit up with joy. Why has Yunyan never told me when I met her? My sister is shy. She must be embarrassed. But she should tell you in a few days. Recently, I often see her running to the small forest behind the school. She should be preparing some surprise for you. Qin Yong's love-struck mind was filled with excitement. Really? Is it true? Why don't you go and see now? I stretched out my hand to Qin Yong. Give me the money. I still need to choose a dress for my sister. Brother-in-law, do you like pink or blue? I'll choose according to your preference. The address of brother-in-law made Qin Yong overjoyed. Without thinking much, he slapped the envelope into my palm. Pink. After saying that, he rushed towards the school like a shot, probably eager to see what surprise Qi Yunyan had prepared for him. I smiled, got on my bike, and even whistled cheerfully. This surprise was sure to be unforgettable for Qin Yong. When I arrived at the securities company, my cousin's wife was already waiting anxiously at the door. It was her first time in the trading hall. Looking at the various fluctuating colors and numbers on the screen, she felt completely lost. Xiaoyu, can you understand this stuff? I didn't even need to look. From the moment I bought my first stock, the market trends of the stock market for decades before and after were engraved in my mind like a brand, unforgettable for life. I didn't tell my cousin's wife this. I just smiled. I can understand. Just trust me. At the securities company, I also saw a familiar figure, Qin Yong's father, President Qin. He was originally handling affairs accompanied by his secretary. Then he answered a phone call. His face turned pale, and he hurriedly got into the black car parked at the door and drove in the direction of our school. I stood at the door, silently watching the car disappear. After finishing the formalities, my cousin's wife came to me. What are you looking at? I looked up at the sky. Nothing. It's just that the weather is about to change. Sure enough, the weather changed. With my help, Qin Yong rushed to the small forest full of excitement, waiting to see the surprise Qi Yunyan had prepared for him. As soon as he entered the small forest, he heard some indescribable sounds. Looking closer, he found that the protagonists were his goddess Qi Yunyan and the delinquent Zhao Xian, whom he had never paid attention to. This could be said to be the biggest shock in Qin Yong's nearly 20-year-old life. When he came to his senses, the sound of the ambulance was already resounding all around. Zhao Xian was beaten up by him so severely that he was sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. When I arrived at the hospital, Zhao Xian had already woken up. He was wrapped in gauze like a mummy and couldn't move in bed. This scene was quite familiar to me. After all, in my previous life, when I pushed him to the front to take the blame for me, he was often beaten like this. But Qi Yunyan had never seen such a scene. She was crying her heart out at the bedside. Qin Yong was dragged into the ward by his father, President Qin. President Qin originally came to negotiate for compensation and a private settlement for fear that his son would go to jail. But Qin Yong was like a bull in a rage. As soon as he entered the ward, his eyes turned red, and he rushed straight towards Zhao Xian. If it weren't for the two secretaries of President Qin, who were quick-eyed and held him back, Zhao Xian might have been thrown out of the window directly. Qin Yong apologized quickly. President Qin was in a hurry. Apologize for what? I'm not wrong. Qin Yong panted heavily and pointed at Zhao Xian on the bed. He raped Yunyan. That's why I beat him. Poor Qin Yong. As an ordinary person without the perspective of rebirth, his first reaction when he saw Zhao Xian and Qi Yunyan together was of course this. At this moment, Qin Yong looked at Qi Yunyan eagerly. Yunyan, say something for me. I did it to save you. President Qin also held out hope and looked at Qi Yunyan. Student, you're the eyewitness. Tell everyone the truth. For a moment, everyone's eyes in the ward were on Qi Yunyan. She gritted her teeth and fell into a long entanglement. Finally, she blushed and whispered, "We were voluntary." Qin Yong's face turned deathly pale. What? Yunyan, it can't be. Although Zhao Xian on the hospital bed was covered in plaster all over his body, he still managed to squeeze out a smug smile. A delinquent like him from the gutter had never had the ability to make a wealthy young master like Qin Yong suffer in his life. Qi Yunyan had actually given him this chance. He was almost ecstatic. Yes, Yunyan and I are in love, Zhao Xian shouted regardless of the pain in his wounds. It was Qin Yong who deliberately injured someone. He should go to jail. President Qin's face turned gloomy. He took a step forward. Without looking at Zhao Xian on the bed, he tried to pressure Qi Yunyan. This student, I advise you to think carefully before you speak. The Qin family had a large business, and even my parents started to be afraid. They began to hint to Qi Yunyan. Yunyan, why don't you think again? It could be seen that Qi Yunyan was really struggling, but she couldn't offend Zhao Xian. Not only could she not offend him, but she also had to firmly hold on to Zhao Xian's heart. He was the Q god. Compared with the billions of wealth in the future, the Qin family at this moment seemed insignificant. So, she tightly held Zhao Xian's hand. What else is there to think about? A Xian and I truly love each other. All those who hurt A Xian should pay the price. Qin Yong couldn't bear it any longer. He shook off the hands of the secretaries, rushed forward and slapped Qi Yunyan. Qi Yunyan, are you blind? In her previous life, Qin Yong went bankrupt not long after marriage, and was very submissive in front of Qi Yunyan. Qi Yunyan had always looked down on him. This was the first time she was slapped by the person she despised so much. She immediately went crazy. Qin Yong, who do you think you are? She pushed Qin Yong hard. A good for nothing rich second generation. You think your family has money in your laboratory? Let me tell you, in a few years, your family will go bankrupt. As soon as these words were spoken, even President Qin, who was standing not far away, turned livid with anger. Finally, President Qin slammed the door and left. Qin Yong chased after him. Only our family was left in the ward. My father was so anxious that he wrung his hands. This Yunyan, why did you offend the Qin family? My father had done some small business in recent years, relying on the resources of the Qin family. Now that Qi Yunyan had offended the Qin family so much, my father's business was doomed. Qi Yunyan impatiently furrowed her brows. Dad, don't be so short-sighted. If the business is gone, it's gone. She looked at Zhao Xian tenderly with the eyes of someone looking at a rare treasure. With A Xian, we'll have everything. In the following days, my parents were busy dealing with the Daonan from the Qin family in the business world. My sister was busy going to the hospital to be affectionate with Zhao Xian, and I was busy studying and making money. Everyone had a bright future. When Qi Yunyan went home to make soup for Zhao Xian, she saw me studying hard. She sneered. Even if you study hard and get into Tsinghua or Peking University, you'll just get a fixed salary after you graduate. I ignored her and focused on doing the questions. In my previous life, I was forced to be with Zhao Xian, and didn't have the opportunity to go to college. Later, I got a degree through adult self-study, but there were still too many regrets left. Qi Yunyan didn't understand. Not all actions are aimed at money. Money is a tool to obtain happiness, not happiness itself. For example, I want to experience 4 years of college life, have a campus love that hasn't been contaminated by society, chat about gossip and the future with my roommates in the dormitory, and go out for supper with friends in the club after finishing activities. These are all joys that I didn't experience in my previous life. After Qi Yunyan left, I met up with my cousin's wife. She covered the lower half of her face with a silk scarf, and the brim of my baseball cap was pulled down very low. We both looked like we were doing something sneaky. I've been buying and selling according to your instructions. My cousin's wife said, "This is your money." She handed me a bank book. I was astonished to find that, apart from the principal of 2,000 yuan, my cousin's wife had given me all the other money. "What are you doing?" I said, "These are the earnings made with your principal. It's your money. I'll just take a commission." My cousin's wife waved her hand. "I didn't do anything. Why should I take the money? I just lent you 2,000 yuan. Now you've returned the money. How could I accept the money you've earned? I'd be struck by lightning." I helplessly argued with my cousin's wife several times, but she just refused. "Well, cousin's wife," I said, "I'll hire you." My cousin's wife was taken aback. "Hire me for what? I'm still preparing for the exam now, and I need you to help me with a lot of subsequent matters. Moreover, I can't open an account myself before I'm 18, so I still need to operate with your account. I said you should charge me a commission for this part." My cousin's wife waved her hand. "We're relatives." I grabbed her hand. "And when I graduate, I'll have my own business. By then, I hope to invite you to be my BD." My cousin's wife widened her eyes. "What's BD?" I said, "Business development, business expansion. You're extroverted, good at talking, likable, and skilled at building relationships. I think this job suits you well." Before my cousin's wife could say anything, there was a commotion at the front door of my house. Qi Yunyan and Zhao Xian had returned. My cousin's wife and I immediately exchanged a tacit look and quietly dispersed, each going back home. This was something we had discussed long ago. Now we were holding a sum of money that could be considered a huge fortune. It was extremely unsafe to pass through a busy area with such a large amount of money. So before I was powerful enough, I would never let anyone discover that we had made money. I returned home alone and heard Qi Yunyan and Zhao Xian happily chatting about something in the bedroom. Zhao Xian's voice was filled with excitement, as if he was about to reach the peak of his life. Teacher Li said that the others have ordinary qualifications, but he could tell at a glance that I'm no ordinary person. So he decided to teach me all his lifelong knowledge in the investment world. Qi Yunyan was extremely excited. "Hey, Xian, I knew this day would come." I peeled an apple in the kitchen and chewed on it by myself. "Oh, Teacher Li, I know what's going on. In the previous life, Qi Yunyan was sent by my parents to a private school in Beijing to study for a preparatory course with their money. She didn't meet Teacher Li, but I did. This Teacher Li was well-dressed, always in a three-piece suit with a vest, and spoke fluent English. It was said that he had returned from Wall Street. He had a strong personal charm and was good at delivering captivating speeches. In his speeches, Teacher Li claimed that he had completely achieved financial freedom, and his current life goal was to lead his fellow villagers to get rich together. It could be said that the appearance of Teacher Li perfectly met Qi Yunyan's expectations. After all, Zhao Xian started as an ill-educated delinquent, but later became the Q, god with a net worth of billions. Such a change was like an unpromising young man finally growing into a great hero. There must have been some lucky encounters like finding a martial arts secret book, or getting guidance from a master. And now the lucky encounter. They had been waiting and waiting, and finally, they thought they had waited for this golden opportunity. Tomorrow we'll go see Teacher Li again. "Hey, Xian, you should study hard with Teacher Li and don't worry about anything else." Zhao Xian looked hesitant. "It's not that." Teacher Li said the 60,000 yuan apprenticeship fee. Qi Yunyan gritted her teeth. "I'll scrape it together for you." The apple in my mouth almost cut my teeth. I knew Qi Yunyan wasn't very smart, but I didn't expect her brain to be so simplistic. She could attribute all her failures in her previous life to not choosing the right man. So, naturally in this life, she could believe that all her chances of turning things around were with this Wall Street elite, Teacher Li, who wanted to charge a 60,000 yuan apprenticeship fee. In my previous life, I also met this Teacher Li. At that time, Zhao Xian was also extremely excited and desperate to get rich with Teacher Li. I stopped him. At that time, actually, I was also a young girl with not much social experience, but I could still tell that there was something wrong with Teacher Li. People who could really make a lot of money considered their time extremely precious. How could they come out to teach us how to make money? Moreover, since he was already so rich, why did he still want to charge us 60,000 yuan for the apprenticeship fee? At that time, Zhao Xian scolded me for having a narrow-minded view. Don't judge Teacher Li's realm with your petty mind. He doesn't want to make money anymore. He just wants to lead us to get rich. He's saving the world and accumulating good deeds for his next life. Then why does he still charge a 60,000 yuan apprenticeship fee? It's a kind of screening. The teacher wants to see our sincerity. In the end, because I firmly disagreed, Zhao Xian went to find Teacher Li by himself. He didn't have the money to pay the apprenticeship fee, and Teacher Li didn't dwell on it, and even said he was willing to take him as an apprentice. Zhao Xian felt even more strongly about the greatness of Teacher Li, and was eager to repay Teacher Li. Later, Zhao Xian followed Teacher Li to the south, and I lost contact with him for over a year. The next time I saw him, he called me crying, "Xiao Yu, save me," when he ran out of a pyramid scheme den. Regarding Qi Yunyan and Zhao Xian, who were about to go to Teacher Li, I still felt a bit of pity. But that night, I heard the conversation between Qi Yunyan and my mother. "Mom, Xiao Yu will be 18 this weekend. I think it's time for her to start blind dating." Zhao Xian said he knows a rich uncle. He's indeed a bit older, but he's willing to give him 180,000 yuan betrothal gift. Our family isn't doing well recently. Dad's business is gone. Zhao Xian has an opportunity to get rich, but it needs 60,000 yuan as the principal. So you see, should we arrange for Xiao Yu to meet that man as soon as possible? If she's satisfied, the betrothal gift can be transferred. So, this was what Qi Yunyan meant by coming up with a way to get the 60,000 yuan apprenticeship fee. She wanted to sell me. Thus, that bit of pity in my heart disappeared without a trace. Go ahead and bring about your own downfall, sister. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you'll sink yourself into hell. Sure enough, on my 18th birthday, my family surprisingly bought me a cream cake. The birthday gift was a new dress. My parents asked me to put it on and twirl in front of the mirror, praising me. "Xiao Yu, you're really blossoming as you turn 18. You're getting more and more beautiful." Even Qi Yunyan was beside me exclaiming, "Xiao Yu looks so well behaved. She has good grades too. Older men like this type the most." My mother took the opportunity to bring up the matter of asking me to go on a blind date. "That man is a few years older than you. He's 47 years old while you're 18, but he has a good temper. Older men know how to take care of people. He divorced his first 2 wives because they couldn't bear the domestic violence." I cursed in my heart, but smiled sweetly on the surface. "Okay, thank you mom and dad and sister, for bothering about my lifelong désir. I'm also very willing to go on a blind date, but the college entrance examination is coming up soon. Why don't I meet him after I finish the exam?" My parents and Qi Yunyan didn't expect me to be so cooperative, and were very happy. At night, I heard them discussing. "Xiao Yu probably knows that she can't find a good match on her own. When she heard that the other party is rich, she must be willing." I sneered while continuing to review. In a blink of an eye, it was time for the college entrance examination. Given that in this life I wasn't forced to marry Zhao Xian, I was able to take the college entrance examination smoothly. I had always had good grades. When I handed in the paper after finishing the last subject, I knew in my heart that I had aced it. After leaving the examination room, I didn't go home at all, and went straight to the hotel. My cousin's wife was already waiting there. "Here's what you asked for." She handed me a newly bought suitcase, which contained clothes, a computer, a mobile phone and toiletries. Everything was bought by my cousin's wife according to the list I had made. I didn't plan to go home. "If you leave like this, your parents will probably be very worried." I took the suitcase. Even if they're worried, it's just because of the betrothal gift that's gone missing, not because of me. I looked up at my cousin's wife sincerely. "Come with me, cousin's wife. This summer vacation, I'm going to Shenzhen. There are a lot of opportunities there. You can be my BD. We'll make a fortune together." My cousin's wife, who was used to doing housework, tightly grabbed the corner of her clothes. I could see that she was scared. After a long time she sighed. "Xiao Yu, you go. You're a person who can do great things." "I can't." My cousin's wife, Li Weining, said goodbye to Qi Xiaoyu and went home alone. She cried all the way. She hated herself, but didn't know what she was hating about herself. She wasn't a brave person. For half her life, she had been used to following others' orders. When her parents told her to stop studying, she stopped. When they told her to stay at home and take care of her younger brother, and to marry to get money for her younger brother's bride price, she married her abusive husband. Whatever her husband told her to do, she did. It seemed that everyone around her was like this. No one resisted. The only one who told her to resist was Qi Xiaoyu. But she was just a little girl who had just turned 18. Little girls were always full of naive courage, and when she was a little girl, she didn't have the courage. Now that she was so old, she had even less. Li Weining returned home. The house was in a mess. Her husband was lying on the mattress, surrounded by wine bottles. As soon as he saw her enter the door, a wine bottle flew over and hit the door frame. Broken glass splashed all over her. "You're only coming back now. Do you want to starve me to death?" Such conversations happened every day. Li Weining lowered her head and went to the kitchen to cook. She chopped the cutting board loudly, trying to use the sound of cutting vegetables to cover her husband's scolding. However, the abusive words still kept pouring into her ears. "You don't have a job and don't bring any money home. You eat and live off me. You have to serve me well. And don't try to fool me with that stupid cyst medical record anymore. I'm telling you, if you don't give birth to a son this year, I'll break your legs. Li Weiniang silently cut the vegetables. A strange hot current surged in her heart. She cut faster and faster. She thought of many things. She thought of her bank book. Her husband only gave her 1,000 yuan for household expenses every month, and scolded her for not being able to manage the household. Now there was 100,000 yuan in her account. She thought of Qi Xiaoyu's words. Cousin's wife, awakening is a long process and also a sudden moment. We all thought that if we gave in a little, we could get by. But actually we can't. There will be a moment when you think, fuck it, I've had enough. At that time, you'll step into a new world. Li Weiniang was cutting potatoes when she heard her man shouting loudly. Are you done yet? You're cooking. What are you dawdling about in the kitchen? Do you want to starve me to death? You've been running around outside all day recently. You should be chained up with a dog leash. Li Weiniang suddenly chopped the knife on the cutting board and said, fuck it. It was a strange afternoon. Li Weiniang's man suddenly found that his wife, who was known for her good temper, rushed out of the kitchen with a kitchen knife. She shouted, fuck it. I've had enough. Li Weiniang rushed out of the house, leaving everything behind. She was wearing slippers and an apron and took nothing with her. There were many things behind her. The home she had carefully managed, her marriage, her original family. But she didn't look back even once. She was running on the road. There was only a huge setting sun ahead, but she had a strong feeling that she was running towards a new world. When I was about to leave the hotel for the train station, my cousin's wife rushed over in a hurry. She had lost one of her slippers, her hair was messy, and there was still an apron around her waist. She rushed over panting. Xiaoyu, I've thought it over. I want to go with you. Minnie, put down the kitchen knife first and talk. My cousin's wife, Li Weiniang, on the day she bid farewell to the old world, was cutting vegetables in the kitchen. Because she was too excited, she forgot to put down the kitchen knife. Thanks to this kitchen knife, her brutal husband didn't dare to stop her, and she was able to escape from home safely. I bought a new pair of shoes for my cousin's wife, and then went to buy her a train ticket. My cousin's wife looked at me with one bright eye. Xiaoyu, you said before that you wanted me to be your BB, right? What do I need to learn? Although I'm old, I can learn. It's BD. I corrected my cousin's wife. And you're not old. A 25-year-old woman has everything ahead of her. It's never too late. It's never too late. My cousin's wife cheerfully echoed me. Xiaoyu, I think I can definitely be a great BD. Building relationships is a good thing. We have plenty of time in the future. Let's take it slow. The train set off on the tracks. The setting sun outside the window was as golden as gold. My cousin's wife beside me excitedly picked up a vocabulary book and started studying, while I leaned against the window, looking at the boundless scenery outside. In the next 10 years, a decade of off Earth, shattering changes will occur in China's economic field. With abundant resources and great opportunities, I'm well prepared. This time, I will only do better than before. I saw Qi Yunyan again 3 years later. She and Zhao Xian had escaped from the pyramid scheme den, and were making statements at the police station. Since I was a relative, the police summoned me. When I saw Qi Yunyan, I could barely recognize her. Although only 3 years had passed, Qi Yunyan seemed to have aged 20 years. She had gray hair early and deep frown lines between her eyebrows. As for Zhao Xian, his back was hunched and his eyes were shifty. How should I put it? He had transformed from a delinquent into an old-fashioned delinquent. And Qi Yunyan also failed to recognize me. I was wearing a silk dress without a logo, but one could tell from the fabric that it was extremely expensive. My previously dark and thin skin had been nourished to be fair and delicate, and my withered hair had become jet black and smooth, casually draped over my shoulders. The Rolls-Royce that took me to the police station was a familiar one. The driver in white gloves opened the car door for me, and the bodyguards in black suits silently followed behind. The others watched as I took my seat in front of her, and she was completely stunned. No, it can't be. I feigned confusion. What can't be? You didn't marry Zhao Xian. Zhao Xian is mine. Qi Yunyan's voice suddenly became hoarse. Why have you become rich? I impatiently furrowed my brows. Sister, it's been 3 years since we last saw each other. You come up and talk to me about this. When did I ever compete with you for Zhao Xian? He must be yours. Don't worry about that. My tone was cold. I already knew what had happened 3 years ago. Since I ran away right after the college entrance examination, my parents couldn't find me, and naturally the blind date fell through. In order to raise 60,000 yuan for Zhao Xian's apprenticeship fee, Qi Yunyan borrowed usury. She firmly believed that investing in Zhao Xian was worthwhile. No matter how high the interest of usury was, it didn't matter in the face of Zhao Xian's future wealth. As a result, one wrong step led to a series of wrong steps. They faithfully followed Teacher Li southward, and ended up in a pyramid scheme den, being controlled, beaten, and having their freedom restricted. Qi Yunyan was almost driven crazy. She repeatedly asked Zhao Xian, "Did you experience this in your previous life?" But since Zhao Xian wasn't reborn, he naturally couldn't answer her question. At this moment, facing me, Qi Yunyan tried hard to figure out where things had gone wrong. After a long time, she revealed a strange smile. I understand. You remembered the stocks that Zhao Xian bought in his previous life, and repeated his operations in this life, right? I twirled the jadeite ring on my hand, too lazy to pay attention to Qi Yunyan. Her IQ really didn't match up to a conversation with me. With such a great opportunity of rebirth right in front of her, even memorizing a few lottery numbers would be better than just fixating on Zhao Xian. It didn't matter. Zhao Xian had escaped from the pyramid scheme den, and he could buy stocks in the future. Qi Xiaoyu, just you wait. In this life, I will definitely live a better life than you. So after coming out of the police station, Qi Yunyan borrowed money everywhere and managed to scrape together a sum of money for Zhao Xian to buy stocks. But I don't understand this. Zhao Xian was at a loss. Don't be afraid. You're the Q god. Just by based on your intuition. Zhao Xian didn't know what the Q god was, but he had always had no self-awareness of his own abilities. Hearing Qi Yunyan's flattery, he went online and read a few stories about people getting rich from stock trading. Immediately, he was filled with enthusiasm and felt that it was his turn next. So he made large-scale purchases. At first, he actually made a little money by luck. Qi Yunyan was overjoyed. They soon invested all their money back into the stock market, and then an unprecedented market crash came. Qi Yunyan didn't believe it. She grabbed Zhao Xian's hand. It doesn't matter, Xian. You're the Q god. We can definitely turn things around. They decided to have a good sleep first, adjust their moods, and think of a way the next day. The next morning, when Zhao Xian got up, he rubbed his eyes and said to Qi Yunyan that he had a dream. I dreamed that in my previous life, when I was in the sports equipment room with Xiaoyu, you didn't burst in. As a result, the two of us got married. Later, you went to study in Beijing and married Qingyong. I continued to stay in our hometown with Xiaoyu. Teacher Li also showed up. I wanted to become his apprentice, but Xiaoyu wouldn't let me. So I went behind her back. I also got tricked into a pyramid scheme den. A few years later, when I escaped, Xiaoyu came to the police station to bail me out. She was already very rich at that time. She said she didn't want to take care of me. If I still wanted to follow her, then I had to work for her. She asked me to do media interviews. The media took pictures of me and called me the Q god. I agreed and answered them according to the words Xiaoyu asked me to memorize. Actually, I don't understand anything. I'm just a scapegoat for Xiaoyu. People who hate the Q god will take revenge on me. I almost got beaten to death several times. I know Xiaoyu hates me. This is her punishment for me. But I don't dare to leave, and I don't dare to tell the truth. I'm afraid that if Xiaoyu doesn't care about me anymore, then I'll really be a social outcast. After Zhao Xian finished speaking, he saw that Qi Yunyan's face was extremely ugly. He stretched out his hand and waved it in front of Qi Yunyan. Honey, are you angry? Zhao Xian tried to coax her. Are you jealous because I dreamed about being with your sister? I'm sorry. You're definitely the one I love the most. Zhao Xian muttered in confusion. But that dream was so detailed. Could it be real? Before Zhao Xian could finish, he heard Qi Yunyan let out a piercing scream. She grabbed her hair and screamed desperately, even hitting her head against the wall. Before Zhao Xian could catch her, Qi Yunyan fainted. Well, your sister has been like this since she woke up. In the mental hospital, I looked at the woman in front of me. She had become crazy, sitting on the bed, giggling non-stop, and then crying bitterly. I've given so much. I'm the female lead of a rebirth story. Female leads in rebirth stories are supposed to reach the peak of their lives. Why hasn't anything changed? I asked Zhao Xian to leave, and sat down beside Qi Yunyan. Sister, you don't understand. What matters isn't rebirth, but the advantage of mastering the information gap, and the change in thinking and cognition. And you don't have any of these. But I still want to thank you for sending me back. I said sincerely. Thanks to you, I've really had an extremely successful life in this life. She glared at me. Then she let out another scream. Keep an eye on her. Don't let her harm herself. I told the medical staff and left the mental hospital. Today I have an important person to meet. At the deepest part of the alley there is a sky blue roof. There is a sign at the door that says Wish Shop, 10 yuan per time. It looks like a shop that only junior high school students would patronize. I walked into the shop. A handsome young man was originally dozing off behind the counter, holding a big yellow cat. When he heard the commotion, he immediately stood up. Welcome. When he saw my face, he was taken aback. I'm sorry for not greeting you earlier. What wish do you have, customer? I smiled. No need to pretend. I know that my sister got the chance to be reborn because of you. It took me a long time to find this clue. This unremarkable shop. The store manager is Su Xiaoran, and the assistant manager is Ji Zhao. And the information I got is very strange. Su Xiaoran is an ordinary female college student, and Ji Zhao's identity can't be traced at all. At this moment, Ji Zhao brought me a cup of hot tea. I didn't have the patience, and came straight to the point. I can give you any amount of money you need. I only have one request, rebirth. It can't happen again. Yes, this is what I want to do. To block the path for Qi Yunyan to be reborn again. Ji Zhao was stunned for a moment and then smiled. You may have misunderstood. Our real customer isn't your sister but you. My eyebrows twitched. Time travel is a business with extremely high costs. We only offer it to the most worthy customers. You were the one we selected a long time ago. Then why didn't you come to me? We did. We tried many times to leave small advertisements where you could see them, and sent you text messages for promotion. But you ignored them all. I admit it. It was very likely. I was extremely busy, with my feet hardly touching the ground. I had to rely on my secretary to remind me of important emails, so that I wouldn't miss them. Needless to say, things that looked like junk advertisements. So, we had to try promoting it to your sister. She had a huge sense of unwillingness about the past, so she immediately agreed. I raised my eyebrows. Does she know that she's being used by you? Look what you're saying. How can this be called using? Ji Zhao waved his hand. His eyebrows and eyes were coated with a beautiful layer of gold in the sunlight. We did let her be reborn. The price was to bring you back to life together. These conditions were all clear. She agreed to them herself. It's a fair deal. As for other things, it's not within our jurisdiction. Whether one can defy fate, or just make things worse is all up to one's own ability. Our store is not responsible. Then I'll ask one last question, I said. Why choose me? This is also very simple. In fact, you've already answered us with your actions. Ji Zhao smiled. This time, your rebirth changed the original investment route. You invested more energy in the real economy, providing nearly 10,000 job opportunities for society, and promoting the reform of the manufacturing industry. At the same time, the fates of many people have been changed because of you. Ji Zhao said. For example, Li Weining. On the financial magazine on Ji Zhao's counter, there was a photo of my cousin's wife. As a female entrepreneur from a humble background, she had recently been committed to promoting the Rural Assistance Project. In the photo, she was smiling brightly and radiantly. She was no longer the little woman who had died of depression in her previous life due to domestic violence from her husband. There are many women like Li Weining, Ji Zhao said. So, this deal was really worth it for us. When Su Xiaoran returned to the wish shop, Ji Zhao was looking for something to cover his instant noodles. Have a bite, Ji Zhao said. I added cheese, seaweed crab sticks, and a runny yolk egg. Su Xiaoran ignored him and opened the notebook to confirm the follow-up details of this business. Qi Yunyun will spend the rest of her life in a mental hospital. Qi's parents went bankrupt and are now in poverty and being chased for debts. Zhao Xian is living on the streets and has contracted a venereal disease. Qin Yong is in prison for assault. His father has become a deadbeat. Su Xiaoran wrote down the endings of these key figures. But these should all be unimportant to President Qi. These people couldn't stop him in his previous life, and they still can't in this life. Just as President Qi said, he will only lead more people to a greater world. After sighing, Su Xiaoran looked at the instant noodles in front of Ji Zhao. What kind of instant noodles are those? Added cheese, seaweed, crab sticks, and a runny yolk egg. I asked you if you wanted to have a bite just now. No, I'm asking you, what's that thing you used to wipe the instant noodle soup? Ji Zhao took a look and was stunned. Fuck. It was a check left by President Qi. He had just spilled the instant noodle soup and casually found something to wipe the table. As a result, it turned out to be a check that President Qi had written to thank them. The amount was extremely large. Fuck, it's all soaked and unusable. Quick, let me be reborn, go back 10 minutes ago. Quick. Su Xiaoran couldn't bear it anymore. Ji Zhao said helplessly. The ability to quickly travel back in time isn't used like this. Quick, let me be reborn. A mini rebirth thus occurred inside the shop. And the next client should probably be on the way. The end.